Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Venerable Mahasangha, faithful members of Mindfulness Meditation Center, thank you very much for inviting me today to have this Dhamma sermon. The topic that I selected to talk was a little not sounding Buddhist. It is called emotional risk management. When I got the phone call, I was preparing a particular class for some kind of a therapist. Therefore, when I was asked what is the topic, I just said emotional risk management. Even though it sounds like very Western and modern, this is not in the Buddhist teaching that we find in many discourses. That emotional risk management is one of the Buddhist achievement. In the today's world, that so many psychologists, scientists, and many others who have done so many researches, and they find how much Buddhist teaching, especially Buddhist meditation, help for the mental health and emotional well-being. There are so many material out there for people who are interested in that. Therefore, the emotional risk management, in another way to say that as a devoted Buddhist, that we all have to practice and try to achieve some sort of a peaceful state, especially what we call it samadhi state or dhyana state. Samadhi, dhyana are different levels. So emotional risk management is some sort of a very moderate state. In the Buddhist teaching, it is the highest place is what we call the Ceto Vimukti, Panya Vimukti, liberation of the mind and liberation through wisdom. So emotional risk management is a basic state where we can find some sort of peace and happiness in our everyday life, and engage with the society without torturing ourselves emotionally and mentally, facing things. We can define psychology as science or an art that seeks to establish a proper program for mental and emotional well-being with practical remedies and preventive measures in individuals, the ailments and syndromes that may arise from non-physical causes. In another way to say, the aim of psychology is to restore the normalcy in our inner life, thus protecting our mental health and emotional well-being. We can say the Buddhist teaching is exactly the same. The goal of Buddhist teaching is to find inner peace and happiness. In the Buddha's teaching, that there is a phrase in the first sermon of the Buddha, Vijja Udapadi. That means the Buddha says the science arose. Even though we do not explore what this science is, we can say or introduce Buddhism as a science that based on nature and the substance of mind itself and its relation to universal laws that sustain both our body and mind. Also, the Buddhist meditation is introduced as an art of living that enables us to follow an ethical system of conduct by which our mental health and emotional well-being is guaranteed. In this way, it enables us to face life or the future, whatever it brings, with tranquility, appeasement of mind, and conviction. The trauma that we hear psychologists talk about mostly are not the events that has happened in the past, but the experience and the emotion that goes with it. These emotions, these experiences have a devastating effect on us in our everyday life if we do not know how to relate it to it. Therefore, in psychology, it says if we want to change our behaviors, that we need to develop some sort of awareness into our sensations and also develop some sort of a self-reflectiveness. That way that we can find some sort of a normalcy to interact with life and enjoy whatever the time we have, and also function properly in the society. Otherwise, depression, anxiety, regret, remorse, guilty feelings overwhelm us. Also, these experiences and emotions leave some sort of imprints on our brain, on our body, and on our mind. Therefore, these imprints from time to time can cause a range of symptoms, mental and physical. There are so many to name. But if we understand it and try to deal with it with awareness and mindfulness and other different techniques introduced in the Buddhist meditation, that we can heal ourselves. In psychology, there are some aspect called somatic therapy. Basically, what somatic therapy means is all these traumatic experiences that we have gone through in life, the body retains a memory of it. And therefore, these memories from time to time arise and prevent us functioning properly, create lack of energy, depression, and many other distress related to that. Not only our brain has a memory of whatever we go through, our physical body also has a memory. And these body and mind are in constant communication. They related to each other. You may find sometimes everything is okay, there is no whatsoever problem. But you may find physically you are agitated, no matter what it is. What you have ate doesn't digest. Even though you going to rest, you can't rest. There is no any particular thing has happened, no bad news, but you are agitated in your own body. And at that moment, what we supposed to do? Mostly in here, the Western way, is relying on some sort of a medicine or counseling and whatever is process you follow. But in the Buddhist teaching that there are methods in the meditation introduced to deal with this. This is what the beauty of the Buddha's teaching, you see. And we have to heal the body. Passaddi kayo sukham patisangvedeti. When the body calms down, happiness is experienced. There is no any other better way to explain this. It's all there. So then this dealing with this body is not only looking at it in a kind of a repulsive way of and denying it. That is, in the Western society, they don't like much our raw Buddhist approach to it, saying negative things about body. It has its purpose. It has a way to do it. But this aspect is different, you see. This is very clearly comes in Satipatthana Sutta, in the Anapanasati Sutta, and many other discourses. You already know this, but you may not have looked at it the way I talk. Sabbakaya patisangvedi assa sissamiti sikkati, sabbakaya patisangvedi passa sissamiti sikkati. Experiencing all the bodily activity, I shall breathe in, thus he trained himself. Experiencing all the bodily activity, I shall breathe out, thus he trained himself. This phrase is all in Satipatthana Sutta, Anapanasati, and many other places it appears. So then what that basically means, experiencing all the bodily activity, sometimes it is translated as experiencing the whole breath body, you see. But the breath which comes in and goes out make this whole body work. It's like a current to this activity. If the breath does not come in, this activity cannot continue. But sabbakaya patisangvedi assa sissamiti sikkati means not just observing the breath. It is paying attention to see what is happening in the body, what the body is trying to tell, what is body agitated with. So then when the bodily activity agitated, when it goes on its own, our mind basically started to tell all kind of stories, try to connect stories. That is how these things are recorded into the system. Mind has a memory, it has a record, and we go along creating a story. But the important thing that you have to remember, thus he trained himself. What is this training? Thus he trained himself means. That means you're supposed to stop all your stories you have in relation to whatever you have gone through. That means pretty much you have to stop all your life story. This happened to me, that happened to me, I went through this, I went through that. This all complaining that you have been telling everybody, you got to stop it all. And that is the most difficult thing. Because we like communication. It's a part of us. If there is no story, there is no particularly life, you see. It is just like your TV. If you don't have any breaking news, what is the use of the TV? You have to have a breaking news. So no matter how busy you are, you get excited and watch. Then you feel like it is worth paying $100 or $150 for it, you see. If there is no breaking news, you feel guilty too, why we pay this, So, sabbakaya patisangvedi assa sissamiti sikkati means stop all this chatting, all these stories, and just to look at this, what body is trying to tell. Rather than you interpreting it, you run with it. You got to calm down and listen to the body. What is it trying to say? As soon as you sit down and try to do that, you won't hear it. You won't see it. It takes practice. And then you come to see what the body, what pain it has gone through, abuse, verbal, physical, and the stress all in life, you see. These are all there, you see. And then also the mind also has its own stuff, you see. That's a different way to deal with this. The somatic therapy, this healing the body, is in this way to be looked at. And then it says, Passam bayang kaya sankarang asasisami sikkati, passam bayang kaya sankarang passasisami sikkati. Calming the bodily activity, he breathed in, he breathed out, thus he trained himself in. Calm in the bodily activity. So then what is this calm in the bodily activity means? We usually think, I need to calm down. Take a long breath in and I need to calm down. This doesn't work like that. You just can't order yourself to calm down because nobody take any orders here, you see. These are conditions, causes. This is how these causes and conditions work, you see. There are certain reasons. Therefore, the body doesn't calm down because I want it to calm down. If you stay alert and awake, mindful, listening to the body, what it is, without going with the story, and then it calms down on its own, you see. In another way to say, you see, you all, I know you all have pets and the dogs, you know. So whoever keep engaging with the dog keep go around and everybody, he goes to everybody, touch me, you know, scratch me or stroke me or whatever it is. The more you do it, he is asking more. If you just stay quiet and not engaging with it, he also lose the interest and, you know, just go somewhere and lie down. Because he knows you're not in the mood to engage with it, you know. So in the same way, the body, this activity is calmed down, you see. In another way, this aspect can be explained, you see, that we say in our everyday life, a lot of things happening, a lot of kids are, or children are there, or some others are there. They are doing their own thing and it drives me nuts and I need to be patient with everybody. I have to be patient here, I have to be patient with there. And then you try to practice patience with this person, that person, and so on and so. You can go like that, oh, I am patient with him, I am patient with that, patient with my dog also. And there is a time your patience is going to explode, you know. And that's danger, you see. That means enough is enough, I can't take it anyway. You throw out everything and, you know, the drama queen comes out because the patient has a limit, you know. And that kind of a patient is not with this activity, you see. You have to be patient with yourself. If you just trying to practice patience for the guest and for everybody comes, you are not doing the right thing, you see. You got to learn, no matter what it is, whether it is a hunger, whether it is thirst, whether it is sleeplessness, whatever it is, a lot of works, any kind of activity, you got to train yourself to be patient with it and be attend to it, you see. Rather than thinking when he or she is going to go there, when they're going to go to sleep, that kind of a approach doesn't work. You got to be sincerely, honestly inside, be patient with yourself. This is my role as a husband, as a wife, as a mother, father, whatever the role you play, take it to your heart, got to do that, and therefore, in a kind way, be patient with yourself. When you are patient with yourself, nobody can drive you crazy because they don't have the keys to drive you crazy. You don't give the keys, you become patient with yourself. And it is the same thing with this calm in the bodily activity. This inner activity supposed to calm down, therefore, I experience it, rather than I am fighting to calm myself down, kind of. That's how majority of the people do, you see, but it doesn't work. Therefore, calm in the bodily activity. When the body calm down, Passaddhikayo Sukham Patisangvedi, some sort of a peacefulness can be experienced in the body. This is what the healing aspect. These things all came through our own mind, our own experiences, and so on and so. And I myself have to do that, you see. And this is what, in another way, in the very beginning of the Satipatthana Sutta that we hear, you see. Sattanam Visuddhya, purification of beings. Satta, being, purification of beings. So then the Satta, why we are called Satta, a being is a living being, has a particular nature, you see. Rupeko Chando, Rago, Nandi, Tanha, Tatta Satto, Tatta Visatto, Tasma Sattoti Uchati. The Satta aspect is explained that desire for body, attachment to body, the delight which created, and the craving. That craving basically here means this process that we want to continue. It is not an intentional wish to continue, but it naturally, that process is there. It expects to continue, you see. And then there we are stuck. In that sense, we are called a Satta, you see. The same four things, desire, attachment, delight, and craving, goes in relation to our feelings also. It goes exactly same with our perceptions or conceptions. And then to our mental formation and consciousness itself. Buddhism is the only religion which talk about these aspects, especially desire, attachment, delight, and craving in relation to consciousness. You don't find in any other philosophy or in religion. You see, this is a very special area in the Buddhism. There are so much information to talk about, important ones, What kind of understanding the Buddha had, you see. These attachment, desire, craving, if we don't handle properly, if we don't discipline it, we are going to be victim of our own undisciplined thoughts. And this is what we hear every day from morning to evening, all these things, what people do, what people go through. Whenever we hear, 90% of it, they have become victim of their own minds. Greed, desire, anger, attachment, and all these things. Therefore, we have such a beautiful teaching. If we use it in the right way, we can really have some sort of inner peace and happiness and experience before we die, you see. We can purify our body, we can purify our mind. Purification of beings is this aspect. There is nothing else to claim. These are the four aspects plus many others which arises depending on this is the path lead to the end of the suffering in the Buddhist teaching. So this is all in one way to look at, very psychological. It's all to achieve this emotional risk management. So that should be understood, the practical part of it. And then also you see, another thing is, one of the famous neuroscientist, a professor, in one of his talks says well-being is a skill, and then he has a couple of things to say about it. He has done so much research on the neuroplasticity, how the brain and the body work, and so on and so, you see. And what is interesting is he mentioned well-being is a skill. You see, Buddha talked about this skill 2,560 something years ago. It is not just the skill, And then he gave 5 words to go along with saying, you have to be skillful. You should be able with these 5 words. I know you all know this, even though you may look a little confused with what I'm going to say. This is what the Karaniya Matta Kusalena, Yantan Santam Padang Abhisamecha, Sakko, Ujucha, Sujucha, Socho, Chasa Mudvanatimani means. Sakko is skill, the ability. You should be able to achieve it, developing this skill. And then it says, Karaniyang Atta Kusala, Matta Kusalena. So the Atta Kusala basically means this peaceful, happy state of mind, a state that we all are so interested in, you see. So even though we didn't know when we were children, our parents who had some experiences told us, you have to get a good education so you can get a good job. And then when you have a good job, you can get married, you can have a family, you can be happy. Whatever the other avenues that we have gone through, you see, these are all to find a peaceful, happy state, you see. This is the main goal of our life, you see, everywhere, you see. And then after working all these years and working hard, raising families and everything, and when we come to some age, and then all concern is what is the retirement thing, got to have a good retirement thing, and plus need a good insurance also. If you don't have a good insurance, then you got screwed up, so that you have to have it also, you see. So now we got all achieved, because all those things you can achieve if you are skillful. You have to have some talent and ability and work hard. They don't just drop on lap, because I got to work hard, day and night. And especially here, you see. So got to do 2 jobs. So then after achieving all these things, if we ask ourselves, have we achieved that peaceful state of mind? Honestly, how many people can say that? Majority is still in this foggy state of mind, no proper idea about what it is. We still think, Therefore, that part is in one hand achieved, successful, and now we have to come and ask, what is this skill? And how are we going to develop it in order to achieve that Yantan Santam Padam, that peaceful, happy, meaningful state? What is that? And then it says, Uju. This word Uju, these are the skills, Uju, usually translated as upright. What we have to be upright about? What Uju got to do with this skill, you see? If happiness is the goal, the meaningful, peaceful state is the goal, that we supposed to be not surrendering to the external stuff, you see. Suppose you get married and happiness is the purpose. If it is so, these 2 people have to remember that this is what it is. That is what the marriage vows are basically telling you, see. In sickness and happiness until the death apart, or maybe until the one kills the other, got to stick there, kind of. So when you go with that, if that is the goal, you got to be very careful not to be distracted by what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you touch, whatever in the surroundings. If you are distracted and go wandering around, forgetting whatever the commitment and not dedicating to it, then it can cause a lot of problems. We know people have so much of problems because of that. It's hard for a human being to commit to something, you see. And here, you see, they always say, sign here, sign there, you see. But it's just, oh, I didn't know, you try to say, no, no, reject it. No, no, so it's my signature, let me see. Try to still deny it, oh, I don't know what. That is why they tell you to sign here, because later you can't deny that. So it is very difficult, a normal human being, the satta mentality, to stick to a purpose, easily distracted, you see. Therefore, the skill is not to wander around. That is the skill, you see. And then when you are not surrendering to this, whatever the external influences, and commit to that purpose, that peaceful goal, the meaningful life, when you commit to it, uju, suju, there is another word, Suju, you say this all the time, I know. It means further degree of uprightness. What is this further degree of uprightness means? Most of the time, you see, we are distracted by outside distractions, the visiting stuff, But sometimes that we are distracted from inside, you see. We have our own stuff. We never look at it and say, why I keep doing this? For example, you see, you eat, or you put the dishes in the sink, go and watch TV, you see, or do something else. Oh, tomorrow is Saturday, I'm going to wash it Saturday morning. Anyway, there is no work tomorrow, It's sitting in the sink, It goes as a habit like that. What is the reason here? That it can be picked up from various sources, While you were a child, that is what you have seen. You probably, that is your mother's character, Good thing is she is no longer around here that you can complain, you see. Or maybe the father's personality. Or one of those things is there, therefore, unconsciously I go along doing the same thing. Go alone that way. So the further degree of uprightness means we sometimes not only this dish and other stuff, sometimes our verbal comment about people, things, it exactly goes. Thinking. There are so many areas in relation to this inner behavioral patterns. These things must be straightened up. We just can't continue it. When we were born, we didn't bring this kind of behaviors. And now we pick up all this stuff and then take it to our grave, you see. That should be look at it. It's not worth carrying this stuff that we collected here, you see. The stuff, mostly we give it to goodwill when we get close. I don't need it, But whatever the inner stuff, you can't give to anybody, you see. Nobody wants your stuff, Hell, I don't want it, Sometimes temple reject too, Mahatya, we don't bring it, give it to somebody else. So this straightening up, you got to have some sort of a way of looking at your own personality. Why I keep doing it, If I tell you a little story, a couple of months ago, some Sri Lankan Buddhist, when I met with him, he gave me some kind of dishes and said, Andhurade, take this home, So I took it home and put it in the fridge, and some of them I use, and there was a sambola, you see, which I forget to use it, and it was in the freezer. And then one of the days, I remember the sambola, I thought, I should put it outside and use for lunch, Then I put it there on the table. And that time, one of my Korean student, he called me and said, I will be coming and bringing lunch. I said, okay. So he came in. And then he tried to prepare, set it on the table, and then he see this container. He opened it. I was 10 feet away. I was watching him. He smelled it. When the sambola is frozen, it looks kind of strange and doesn't smell anything. And as soon as he smelled it, he just put it in the trash. And then in my mind, sambola is gone, and then I just didn't say anything. And he just kind of, it just happened, and then he just quickly looked at me to see what is my response. I just was very quiet, didn't say anything. I wanted to say, and I want to describe how important Paul Sambola for us, how much we like it, But I didn't open my mouth. I just keep very quiet. And he just, again, he was a little suspicious of how come I didn't have any reaction to this. And again, he also looked in the trash can. Again, it looks kind of strange. And even to today, he been coming to me, I never said anything. That means me trying to explain Sambola to Korean, he doesn't get it. They don't have coconut in Korea, So I have to struggle to describe it, and then he feel guilty. I threw away the monk's Sambola, And he going to feel bad about it. So why should I give him that pain, that regret? It's my loss. That's all right. I can make another Sambola, but I was able to maintain it like that. This is how these inner behaviors that we have to see in our everyday life, wherever it shows up, and you got to stop it. If you don't stop it, the behavior keep continuing, You never improve it. We can all look good to others, but nothing good has happened to us, that we can really see there is an improvement in my own body-mind processes. This is what the character development, personality changes is this suju means, We have to be changing these behavioral patterns which carry on all our life, For that, it is a skill. Where are you going to get that skill? Nobody can give it to you. You yourself have to develop looking at your own body-mind process. When you develop that kind of uprightness, you find some sort of a peacefulness, regardless of whatever happening around. In your body-mind process, you are stable, And these two, upright, further degree of upright, is the key. When these two things are properly taken care of, then comes the result of it, The result is uju, suju, suacha. This word suacha is usually translated as obedience, discipline kind of a thing. What is this psychological aspect of this obedience, this discipline, compliance? That means it is not always yes, ma'am, yes, sir, yes, kind of being a doormat to every abuse kind of a thing, you obedient kind, not that kind of a thing. This obedience here means in our everyday life, no matter how hot it is, how cold it is, or how difficult the situation is, in your own body-mind process, that you have some sort of ability to take it lightly and go along with it. If you are given a job, you're not going to say, oh, this is hard, this I don't like, I don't have experience. You're not going to do that. You just try to do what you can do, And if you are not doing good enough, somebody might come and teach you or train you to do it. So that obedience is here basically in our everyday, we have to have it. Take it like that. You see, when we are young and strong and healthy and restless, these things don't mean anything. But when we are old, sick and weak and retired and sitting home, you got a lot of time. So you got to have this discipline. This is my life, you see. I got to be happy and do whatever I do or I don't do. Even though I am just sitting, you don't have to feel guilty about it. I work hard, raised the family, did all these things. Now this is my life. I have to take a deep breath and enjoy it rather than say, where are the people who were around me when I was young and now nobody is calling me? Coming to America was the worst thing happened to me. If I were in home in Sri Lanka, you know, all got servants and everybody now, I have to do my own thing. You know. So the discipline is here. Whatever the life presents, take it without a complaint, without feeling guilty. This is possible. This is a kind of a changing the energy in the body so that you have that ability to deal with it rather than having some sort of a conflict inside. These conflicts are created because our minds are going into 10 different directions and nobody can fix it. We can blame the whole society, people, government, but nobody can fix it. This is my life. I got to live it. I got to fix it. That is the obedience. And then it says, mudu. This is translated as a gentle, you see. Mudu basically means when you have that kind of a discipline, whatever happening around, your body-mind system take it in a kind of a gentle way, you see. Rather than, taking it such a strong way to hurt yourself. There are so many things happening around. We have to have some sort of a restricted way of looking at things and take it in a gentle way. Even the news, when you watch, you have to watch it in a way so that it won't give you a nightmares, you see. All the shows and whatever you watch in TV programs and everything, you got to take it in a gentle way, you see. So that way you are protected, you see. Whatever happening around, whoever does anything, got to take it in a kind of a gentle way, you see. Don't take it in such a personal way, you see. When you have the uprightness, further degree of uprightness, discipline, then you are equipped with it, you know. So that you are not going high and low, you see. You don't have this so-called bipolar disorder, you see. The bipolar disorder, each one of us have, you know, to some extent. These are all get worse when we don't have a proper attitude, you see. When you don't know how to take care of the mind, these diseases, these syndromes started to get worse, you see. And there is no help from outside, you see. You can go to therapy and you keep paying and go a long time until you don't want to pay anymore, you know, and then you stop. And this way, this gentle aspect, train yourself to take it lightly, you see. Somebody can be late. And then don't jump on him asking, why you are late? It's not a choice sometimes, you know. It just happened. And therefore, in our everyday life, we have to have this, you see. It's a practical thing. Especially when we are retired, you know, this is the time to practice this very much, you know, so that you maintain that whatever the peaceful, quiet, happy attitude, you know. If you don't have that, If you got the opposite of it, nobody want to come close to you. Let the old man suffer, I'm not going close, they all run away from you. When we are young and healthy, everybody come after asking phone number, but when we come to a particular, nobody interested in you. Because inviting you is insurance risk, you may fall down and you got to pay for it, so got to be careful. So the gentle aspect here basically means everything in life, suppose you don't get a good night's sleep at night, you wake up in the middle of the night. If you get mad about it, then it's going to be a bigger problem, you see. Whose fault it is waking up? Your body had enough sleep and rest, therefore it wake up under different circumstances. It's not something to fight. You can't fight with yourself saying, well, why I don't get, just be gentle about it. Okay, it's still good, I'm breathing, it's a good sign, so I can walk, move around, You look like going to be all right, Monday will be fine. So be positive about it, rather than, 2 o'clock, wow. Don't drive yourself crazy. And if you go like that, it becomes a pattern. And then each time by 2 o'clock, you will be fighting with yourself, everybody is sleeping, and then you mad with your wife looking and she is snoring, and I'm the only one wake up. So that's not a good practice. In order to achieve this emotional risk management, you see how beautifully the Buddha has given these things. These are all practical. This is the psychology of Buddhist teaching. You fix yourself. And then the fifth one is called anatimani, you see. This word, just before I coming here, I look in the Walpola Rahula Thera's book, it says humble. And some other translation, it says not proud, But I prefer to translate it as not obstinate, not being demanding, oh, this should be this way, that should be that way, you see. In life, we have to be flexible. The way it comes, we're supposed to be accept. And that's very important, you see. Otherwise, we start a battle inside, and that battle goes into the outside, and until to the grave, we start fighting with ourselves. We engage with a battle that we can't win. Therefore, this is very important, you see. So this is in another way what we call, you see, this Astaloka Dhamma, the vicissitudes of life. The way it all hit us from time to time. This is the way the wheel rolls on. It should be accepted like that. Not to be obstinate, demanding, fighting. These are all these things that we falling in love and hating and loving, and all these things are in a certain way belong to the world, These are all passing phenomena, passing events, We can't fight with these passing events. Not only the outside things are passing events. I myself is a passing event, We all are generally thinks we are the owners and this and that, but we are all temporary occupiers of a space. We all can be replaced. We will be replaced, We're not going to occupy the space forever kind of a thing. We can't own it. And why should we starting a fight with this thing, you see? It's all because of that nature of the sattva, the desire, the attachment, the delight, the craving. These are the foundation, these are the main things keeping us fighting with this, our own life, you see. And the rest of the world has no idea about it. So in brief, to conclude my little talk, I want to say one thing, you see. Shadows of the bamboo brush the temple steps, dust is not disturbed, Shadows of the bamboo brush the temple steps. The dust is not disturbed, Shadows of the bamboo is just like this passing events, No matter how much the shadows of the bamboo brush the temple steps, the dust is not disturbed, means all these passing phenomena, all these events and incidents, so who said what, he did what, all these, whatever the politics and all these other stuff. We can't stop hearing it. We can't stop seeing it. Because we are part of the society, family, and so on and so. While we see it, while we hear it, don't let the dust disturb you, you see. Your own dust is what is here, internal, what we call the defilements. Don't let it disturb it. If it is going to, if you allow that, you will be always disturbed. The world never going to settle into a peaceful way, or the family, the in-laws, and everybody is going to be okay, then I'm going to experience the peace. Don't expect that. These are including our own life. Whatever we have, whatever happened to us, whatever we have achieved, wherever we are, these are all passing phenomena. Shadows of the bamboo brush the temple steps. The dust is not disturbed. That means you have that perfect mental stability, this peaceful state, yantam santam padam, that meaningful state. Therefore, you can have inner peace and happiness. So these are the things in the Buddhist teaching that we find, that we are all blessed to be Buddhists, and these teachings should be properly understood and practiced, so that we can live our life with our mental health and emotional well-being. Whatever the time we have, we can enjoy. And thank you very much.